Hi, I'm Tony Neely with Peoria Fire. If you're ever out in the field and you find yourself in a situation where you don't have readily available anchors, whether they be industrial anchors or natural anchors, a system that you can work with is a picket system. So today we're going to set up our pickets. We're going to use one configuration. There's several of them out there. We're going to put a meter on it, and we're going to show you the amount of weight that these things can hold. Okay, a couple things to keep in mind on your setup when you've decided to place your picket system. First of all, the pickets themselves. What you should have is a 48-inch piece of cold rolled steel, 1 inch in diameter, and you want to set your pickets up so that your system is going to be directly in line with your fall line or the area pull. Okay, you want to set these things up when you get your start. What you'd like to see is about a 15-degree angle offset this way. Good rule of thumb: put your foot at the bottom where you're going to drive it. If you bring the head back, look over your toe, that's about the angle you want to see. The spacing on them, approximately the length of the picket. So once you get your first one in place, you're going to drive it 2/3 of the length of the picket. So you want to see that thing buried in there deep, so you got a good strong, a lot of contact surface for the pin itself. The separation on them, just use the pickets as a guide. And you're going to come back and put them in a row of 3. Again, keeping them in line with the direction you're going to be pulling. Straight out. Go a little bit deeper, Ben, towards me a little bit more. There you go. All right. Clear? That's good. So determine that your spacing's correct. You got a good angle. That angle is going to create a lot of surface area for this pin to resist the forces against it. Again, pound it in 2/3 the length. Set your third one in place and continue. Very nice. It's good. Okay, now that we've got all 3 of our pickets driven into the ground, angle set appropriately, the correct distance apart, we need to integrate them so that we're combining the combined force of all 3 together to the focus point up here on the front of the anchor. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can integrate these 3 pickets. You can use rope, 9mm cord. Today we're going to use 1-inch tubular webbing. And just remember, the goal is to tie these 3 together so that you get the benefit of all 3 of the pickets. In the field guide, if you look in the picture, if you'll notice, it has individual pieces of webbing being tied between each set of the pickets. Today we got a long black, and we're going to accomplish the goal is going to be the same at the end. We're just going to use 1 piece of webbing this morning. So I got a girth hitch at the top. It's kind of helpful if you, instead of just coming directly around, if you put a turn on there, that'll help hold some of your tension. And on this one, we're going to go to the bottom. Again, pull a little tension, make a turn. Just going to do a simple trucker's hitch right here on this back tie to get it back from the bottom to the top between the 2nd and the 3rd. So just pick an overhand on a bite. Put a turn at the top, a little tension. And you can see when I start to pull a little tension, you can see the whole system's going to come in and tighten up. You can just finish this off with a couple half hitches. They're set. All right, so we're going to integrate the bottom of our front picket to our second picket. This connection point up here is kind of key. You don't want to put a girth hitch down here at the bottom. You're better off putting a couple round turns on there. And the reason why you're going to do that is when you set your anchor point on there, you're going to want to interweave the two together in case you do have a failure and this front picket does pull far enough and it happens to break the surface of the soil. If you don't have these two pieces of webbing intertwined together, you have the potential to lose your entire system off the end of the picket. So this front connection point is pretty key. So probably the best way to do it is just simply put a turn on it. Same thing at this second point. We're just going to interweave these as well. So that way if any of these were to fail, they're all going to stay connected together with the webbing. How's that? More better? Finish this off overhand on a bite, trucker's hitch. I'm just going to leave this in place right here to make my weaving a little bit easier when I put my anchor, and then I'll come back and put some tension on this. Go ahead, Matt's going to come in and put that wrap 3, pull 2 as our anchor point. He's going to interweave them. Clean enough? Yeah, that's clean, that's clean. There we go. So we're just going to double check, make sure everything's, our webbing's, our rigging's clean, everything's flat. Try to keep the twist to a minimum. So we got our connection point up here for our anchor. It's interwoven. All 3 pickets at the base are interwoven. So if we do have any kind of failure on that front picket, they're all going to stay together. Some slight tension, and you're going to see as soon as we start pulling on this, this webbing is going to tighten up as the load starts to come onto it. All right, so you can see loose, relatively light tension, and then we'll show you the difference once we put a load on it. All right, so we've got our picket system set up, and today we're set up in probably the worst soil that you're going to find. This is Class C soil. It's previously disturbed. We're actually behind one of the fire stations, and all we're sitting on is a lot that's been graded. This soil's been churned and turned, and it's just been sitting here, getting a little bit of rainfall on it in Phoenix, Arizona. So the strength of your system it's definitely going to depend on the type of soil. The bigger the clay content, Class A, Class B, Class C soil, it's going to make a difference on how strong these are and how much movement you're going to get in the system. So today, again, we're in Class C soil, previously disturbed, probably the most unstable stuff you're going to see, and I'm pretty confident we're going to pull within 6,000 pounds pretty easy, and this thing's going to tighten up and hold very well. Haul team, are you ready? Okay. Haul slow. So you can see as they start to load this up, I talked about the tension that's getting put on the individual back ties or the webbing that's in between the posts. You came over here now and you take a look at it, you can see this load is being shared through all 3 legs. There's more tension on the front. It's taking some of the load. We're getting a little bit of movement on that front post. Again, this is very weak, unstable soil. And as it sits right now, the boys are pulling at 5,500 pounds. So we're starting to see a little bit of deflection in our front picket there, that cold rolled steel. It's getting a little bend on it, but very strong, very stable system.
One more.
Oh, get one more, you're at 5,900. There it is. Okay, hold it, hold there. All right, so
you can let go. We're good.
They're at 6,400.
Okay, that's good.
You're good. It's going to show the peak, so you're okay.
Watch your head shadow. Talk about it.
Okay, so we had a total of 4 haulers. They're pulling on a 25-to-1, and in this very unstable soil, you can see we got peak forces at 6,374 pounds. So factor in a 2-person load at 600 pounds. That's the minimum of a 10-to-1 safety margin using this system. It's very handy. These pickets are very inexpensive. I can't remember what the chief paid for these. They were a few $100s for an entire set, and it just adds a lot of options in your toolbox. If you can't find an anchor, you're not sure, just being able to carry 3 pickets relatively light and a hammer, you can set your fall lines up and get your anchors exactly where you want them.